Hi guys, I'm Jared Falk. Now a lot of you guys have been asking how do we get these insane bass drum sounds in all of our videos. And so what I did is I brought in the drumlessons.com sound engineer, Victor Gudera, and he's here to show us and teach us exactly how he gets these amazing sounds. Thanks for coming out, Vic.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Cool. So let's start with mic selection. What do you use or how do you select a good bass drum mic?
Okay, so how I choose a bass drum mic, basically first look at how the actual bass drum sounds. Is it a large, is it a 22, is it a 24? What's the depth of it? Is it really short? And then I basically choose the microphone around that, because every bass drum mic will have a certain frequency response. So it will boost certain areas of the sound that you may or may not actually want to boost, or it may cut certain areas of the sound where you may not want it to actually cut.
Cool. So on like a standard bass drum, this bass drum is a 16 by 22. My other bass drum, my DW, is an 18 by 22. So on this type of bass drum, what kind of mic do you recommend? I know we use this Sennheiser mic. And
yeah, I would actually recommend the Sennheiser 602. It's what we use. I would use it on both bass drums and be totally happy with both of them. My secondary choice would be AKG D112. Similar price point, somewhere around $160, $170. You could find them used for cheaper. And then also in conjunction with that, we use something a little bit unique here at drumlessons.com called a subkick. And it's actually just a speaker cone that's used to pick up just the sub range of the bass drum. So just that sound. No really point or snap off the bass drum. And we use them together, the 602 and the subkick.
So when it comes to purchasing decisions, as far as budgets go, if someone only has a $50 budget to buy a microphone, they probably can't get the Sennheiser, they probably can't get the Beta 52, they probably can't buy a subkick in conjunction with anything like that. So what kind of stuff do you recommend for the lower range?
Right, $50 range is a little bit low. I would say somewhere around $70 to $100 range. You could get something decent. Apex makes some great lower end models that they will just get the point across. They will pick up enough of the bass drum where you'll be happy with it and it won't cost you, it won't break the bank. So if you're looking for something on a budget, I'd recommend, so the Apex is great. Also Audix makes a nice lower end model. Samson as well.
Samsung, not Samsung.
No, I said Sun, Samsung. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, so.
Cool. So with that said, now that you have your mic selected, we've selected the Sennheiser 602 to mic our bass drum. Let's talk about exactly what we're going to do and where we're going to position the mic on the drum. So let me just bring in the microphone.
Yep. So generally with the bass drum, I like to hear a little bit of tone out of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to position the microphone just slightly so the capsule is just slightly inside of the actual port of the front skin. And what I mean by when I say that I want to hear a little bit more tone out of the bass drum, you could point the microphone at the beater. Directly, if I was to look in here, it'd be pointing at the beater. And so it'd be a very snappy, very slappy sound. So what we can do to get more tone out of the bass drum is point it towards the actual corner where the skin is actually seated on the bearing edge of the bass drum. So to do this, I'm going to get right behind the microphone and look directly in line, as if I'm aiming the actual microphone. And to do that, you have to be right in line with the thing. So I'm just going to get down and I'm going to point it towards the edge of where the skin meets the bearing edge of the bass drum, not towards the center.
That's like where it meets over here, not in here, obviously. So
exactly.
On the batter side of the drum head, he's going to point this mic to the opposite side of the drum.
Exactly. Okay. So get down. Okay, so it looks like I'm pretty happy with that. A couple of things to watch out for would be excess legs of cymbal stands or anything like that that could potentially move and bump the microphone. You just want to watch out for also the bass drum itself may move. You want to check your application if you're miking someone else's bass drum or even your own. The bass drum may slide forward. and then it'll actually hit the microphone. You don't want that to happen. It'll just ruin the recording or the live application.
Yeah. And I think it's important for us to know is that this is what we use to get our bass drum sounds. It's
Right.
like, we're not saying this is the only way to mic a bass drum. You might encounter sound guys or engineers that they're gonna have their own way of doing it, and they're gonna have their own way of miking it, and so that's fine. You know, everyone has their own way to achieve the specific sounds that they want. So we're not saying this is the only and the one way, but this is our way, and it is working pretty dang good for us, I'd
Absolutely.
say. Another thing I want to touch on is the drum itself. The amount of muffling is going to really, really affect the sound and the tuning of the drum heads, okay? So those are things, you know, if you get a really, really good mic, those are things that are also going to factor into that sound. So a good mic won't necessarily make a bad sounding bass drum sound good all the time. So there's all these factors that come into play to make a really, really good bass drum sound.
Yeah, I always say that it starts with the actual drum itself, then the tuning, the skins, and then the player, and then the microphone and the console or the preamp that you're using for it and the recording system, or if it's a live application. All of that stuff comes last. So drum, tuning, skins, and the player, and then the technical aspect.
Cool. So now that we have our mic inside the bass drum, we're just going to bring in our sub kick, which is something that Victor actually made.
Right, and what this is just a speaker cone that had been wired with the positive and negative to go to a regular mic cable. And the cone itself comes from a Yamaha NS10 studio monitor, which has been the industry standard for many, many years. And so you just throw it up in front of the bass drum, and it picks up a very low-end subwoofer sound from the bass drum. And it works really well in conjunction with your regular all-range bass drum microphone. So we're just going to place it in here. And so what I'm looking at, I'm going to try to get close to the center of the drum. I'm not too concerned if I'm a little bit off center of the drum. It's still going to pick up a very similar subwoofy type of sound. And another thing to keep in mind is the distance away from the skin, and I'm going to keep the cone parallel.
All right, guys, so that is exactly how we get the bass drum sounds in our videos. Now, we're going to be coming out with more videos on how to actually EQ the drums and stuff like that. Obviously, we can't get to everything in this one video, otherwise this is going to be like 2-hour YouTube videos. So thanks so much for watching this. Thanks so much for Victor for coming out and sharing his knowledge with us, and we'll see you guys in the next video.